This is not a widget. This is a life-saving device.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just some random thing we make with metal and we stamp it out and who cares. I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Stag Arms, Black Hills Ammunition, Ruger, SDS Imports, Range Ready, and Secure It. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, Mr. Mark Redl, Colt Firearms. Welcome in, man.
Hey, how are you?
Dude, we've been doing this for a few years now, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Like a lot. I don't want to talk about it.
Yep.
We're shooting season 16 of Guns and Gear. Can you believe that?
No,
I was a wee lad when this thing started.
Wow.
I was actually on there.
Well, you grew up in the business.
Yeah, I did.
You know, you got a heritage.
Yeah, I would, my dad would go out on photo shoots for magazines, and I'd come along to help out. Sometimes they'd hand me a rifle and say, sit up against that tree and, look this way, look that way. And I'd say, Dad, should I take my Swatch watch off before he's like, yeah, definitely take that crap off. So that's an 80s reference for all you kids out there. But yeah, I grew up in it, man.
Yep.
You kind of grew up in firearms though, or you've been doing, how long have you been competing in shooting?
Long time. I actually didn't get, when I was a kid, toy guns were the big thing for me.
Yeah.
Always loved toy guns. We did not have guns in our household as growing up.
Yeah. See, it's interesting because there's so many people that we are around who always say, just grew up around it, grew up shooting, grew up hunting. But there are those people who, nope, I didn't. Nope. We didn't have guns.
No, I got into it after college, 81.
Mm-hmm.
Snowballed, if you want to call it that. I've been shooting for Colt. This is my 16th year, and there was a few years I shot before that. So yeah, what's IDPA now? 30 years, I think.
Yeah.
And my ID was number 11.
Oh wow.
So I've been a long time.
The 11th guy doing IDPA.
Yep.
You guys were still figuring out what the hell it was at that point.
Correct. Ken Hackathorn called me and says, this is a good thing. Join. I said, all right. I love it. I do. I love the gun industry.
Yeah.
Now that I'm working full-time for Colt, this is my 9th year. I've done a few different jobs for Colt. Now I'm settled in. I'm actually the manager of product testing for the Colt CZ group, which means
so what people hear and what actually happens are two different things. What they hear you say is, I get to shoot guns all the time and it's really fun. Sometimes that means I have to shoot guns and make them go off thousands of times a day.
Correct. I tell people if the guns are working correctly, it's a good gig.
Yeah.
If you have a gun where you're testing it and you're running into problems because, we do all the prototype testing, all the R&D testing, it can take a long time to sort out things working with engineering and the model shop.
You're doing detective work at that point, right?
Yeah. I gather data. It's the best way I gather data for the engineers to dissect and look at it. The reason they asked me to come over was I'm able to, as a shooter, articulate what I'm seeing and help direct them to where we need to go.
Yeah, because you could hire people to shoot guns, right? To grip a gun and pull the trigger. But if something goes wrong, they go, I don't know. It didn't go off. Oh, I don't know. It didn't.
Right.
It didn't eject or something.
You have to stop.
And you're like, no, it didn't extract.
Pictures, diagnose, everything. And, testing is something that has to be done in a certain sequence. We have a test plan that we have to go by. You don't want to vary from it because, like I said, you're collecting data for the company.
Right. Can you say, I don't know if you can say this, can you say how much ammo you guys go through?
I don't want to know how much.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I've heard from other companies. I mean, it's incredible. But I mean, that's what you want. That's what everybody listening wants. They want you guys to do serious testing on the new products.
Sure. And there's things that Colt does that a lot of companies don't do yet. We are one of the few, if not the only company, that every barrel that's made is proof tested and then MPI before it can even continue on to be used in a production gun. So that
Really?
means it's a proof load is a load that is you have SAMI specs, which is certain max that you can use.
Max
This is
pressure.
about 130% over, 30% over
It's
that.
it's not a load that anyone would ever shoot in their gun
No, this
on
is in a
purpose.
fixture and the barrel shot. This is all of our rifle barrels, all of our handgun barrels.
Wow.
The revolvers are done with 6 rounds in a
Of that max pressure
to
thing?
check for
Overpressure?
to guarantee the cylinder and the barrel on the revolver.
Wow.
So every one. So
What is I mean, I kind of know the answer, but so if a barrel wasn't made right, maybe it wasn't even, a lesser barrel, what would happen in a load like that? What would someone see if they had a barrel that was not up to snuff?
well, we MPI magnetic particle inspection where you put an electrical charge through the metal and it goes into an oil solution with metal in it,
Oh,
and the
wow.
metal will go to that crack and you'll see it. You'll see it's a white metal, you'll see it. So if there's a crack,
Wow.
but we also do barrel obstruction tests,
Oh,
which we actually plug the barrel and fire the gun.
that's like blowing stuff up on purpose.
It is. And what you're looking for is what they call a good yield. A good yield is if the barrel does rupture, nothing comes back towards the shooter. So still,
Wow.
you have to all set it up and collect all that data. But it's pretty impressive to see how durable our products are when
I
you
bet.
do things like that.
It's like the car companies, right? They crash cars into walls and stuff, and you got to do all that testing,
Correct. You need to because you're sending out a product to the public, and it's not a cap to a toothpaste
right?
container.
True. It's
a
a different
firearm.
thing. We say that all the time because um, the products in the gun industry are different, and you sometimes we have people from other industries who will come into this industry. People get hired and
Mhm.
fired and whatever, and sometimes that you have to have that come to Jesus talk with some of these folks to say, look, this is a parachute. This is not a widget. This is a life-saving device.
Mhm.
It's not just some random thing we make with metal and we stamp it out and who cares?
Right.
Like you guys take great pride in that, right?
Correct. You're right. Even how you develop a product, the steps you go through from designing it, making the prototype to test out the whole process of and then getting if we're not production parts and outside vendor parts and testing it again to the gun off the production line. So there's quite a bit of testing going on throughout the entire process before that gun is deemed we're going to sell it to the public.
Is there a part of the testing that's the hardest or the most tricky part of doing R&D?
Do you want to know the worst part about it is
Yeah.
loading magazines.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to test a gun for 10,000 rounds, that's a lot of magazine loads you're doing in 1911.
Yeah, no kidding.
That is, but
Do you guys have a favorite mag loader, or do you just do it by hand?
yeah, Mark, favorite mag loader.
His name's Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we do have Magula loaders, and
Yeah.
we've actually made some other ones up in the model shop that aid in
See, I
it.
want to know. You guys have to have like, oh, this one's really good, or they all. Do you have one that's like, oh, this one's really good, or
What's that? The
like
loader?
a mag loader?
Yeah, yeah. The Magula seems to be one of the
Works.
best one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really is a thumb saver. Like you would say.
Oh,
that
yes.
It's worth having
Yep.
for someone who shoots a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do shoot a lot, even outside, because I compete, and so I'm
Yeah.
still which people can't imagine. You shoot all day, and it's different. But a lot of it is just making sure you set the test up properly
Mhm.
and you document everything. The test report afterwards has to be well done. Photos are a big thing because you don't know 5-6 years from now, something could be called into play that you're going to have to bring that test report back up. What did
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and obviously, and you guys are tracking it. You've got all the
Yep.
serial numbers. You got all that stuff.
Yeah, even customer service, anything that's all tracked, everything that's ever called but from customer service and everything. Even
Yeah.
so, it's a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about metals and metallurgy.
Yep.
It's not just pulling triggers all day. There's a lot of thought and engineering that goes behind it, which I'm glad that I'm part of.
I've heard that designing a magazine is one of the harder things to do in gun world.
Yeah, it is for some reason.
Yeah.
They because don't forget you have an angle, the magazine, and the grip, and then the top feed loads and the feeding of it. It is a pretty difficult thing to do. That's why there's only a few magazine manufacturers
Yeah,
out
they're
there
good
that
at
are,
it.
and they're making it for all the industry.
Yeah.
Um, so
And if you get a bad mag, what I've been told is the best thing to do is you take it in your right hand if you're right-handed, and you throw it as far as you can over the berm. Because a bad mag is always going to be a bad mag. It's going to just cause problems and make your gun not run right.
in all of our testing and all of my guns, my match guns, practice, I number the magazines.
Oh yeah.
And if a magazine starts to have a problem, the same number comes up, yes, I deem it no good. People have to understand magazines are a disposable item that goes bad. It's like the oil in your car engine. It's like your
Okay.
shock absorbers.
It's not a forever thing.
That is the weak link to semi-automatic guns, and
Yeah.
it will fail. And you have to just be willing to let it go and buy a new one.
Send it off. What about maintenance on magazines? Do you change springs or followers or oil it or do anything special?
I don't oil them because it tends to get gritting and slow it down.
Okay.
So I use ultrasonic cleaner on mine. I do clean mine.
Okay.
Now you gotta understand, I have practice mags that get beat to death because of all the practicing you do for matches. And then I have my match magazines that they're only for matches, so they don't get the same amount of use as my practice ones. And then of course I have my carry mags that only get used in my carry guns.
Yeah.
I clean them. The springs do wear out. You can replace the springs, but as far as followers, if anything, start to get the lips to open up,
right?
And you'll get feeding issues there. And if you start having a problem with the magazine tube, it's time to get rid of the magazine.
Do you think leaving magazines loaded is a problem to do?
No, I've never had a problem.
I haven't run into an issue, but people will go, if you leave them loaded, it's going to compress the spring and it's going to make them not function as well.
Well, that's true, but don't forget, your semi-automatic has a compressed recoil spring as soon as you put the gun back together. That's under pressure all the time too. So does that
the spring in the gun?
The spring in the gun.
Yeah.
So is that going to problem? In my personal experience, I have not had a problem with leaving magazines loaded for a length of time.
Yeah. Well, we'll do
we
it
all
for a while too.
We all do that. Have magazines loaded in a go bag and
right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably not a bad idea to go shoot them occasionally, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's like carry ammo. You should shoot that every once in a while. Put new carry ammo in your gun.
Yeah.
Every few months. So
yeah. Mark, let's take a quick break. After the break, I want to talk about what's new with Colt.
Okay.
SecureItGunStorage.com. The one I'm looking at Secure It right now is the Agile Model 14. And it's kind of a smallish gun safe, kind of a double-decker for handguns, ammo, gear, but it's also modular. So you can stack it up on the same one. You can get several of them, or you could stack it upon a cabinet you already have from Secure It. But kind of cool. It looks like you could fit probably about 5 to 8 handguns in there, or mix and match, but it's about that size. So like the size of a piece of luggage. So easy to fit various places. The cabinet is vented, so you can store ammo in there, and it also has their modular organization system, so you can organize it that way. So check it out, SecureItGunStorage.com. One of the new ones from Ruger right now is the LC Carbine in 45 Auto. Kind of feels like a lot of old school 45 autos, but it's the modern version of the throwback, right? So that 45 carbine, fun to shoot because a 45 doesn't have a lot of recoil, and especially in a carbine configuration. And if you have a lot of 45 ammo laying around, this is an awesome way to burn it up. So go check it out at Ruger.com, the new LC Carbine in 45 Auto. Tokarev USA. Part of SDS Imports, Tokarev is a whole line of various shotguns, and these are really neat. The one I'm looking at is the Tokarev TAR 20, T-A-R. 20, meaning 20 gauge, 3-inch chamber, 18.5-inch barrel. It's magazine fed, and it resembles an AR-15. So a 20 gauge AR-15, that's pretty cool. And of course, being part of SDS Imports, Tokarev, these are not going to break the bank. This is $329 MSRP. So go check it out over at TokarevUSA.com. Aero Precision, known for helping you do gun builds, especially AR-15s. And they're still knocking out their monthly limited edition builder sets. The one going on right now, and I don't know if you hear this in time, but the one going on right now is the April edition builder set. Very neat, in collaboration with West Michigan Cerakote. It's the cerulean cloak finish, and it's kind of a sky blue speckling. But if you want something that just really looks different, is going to stand out at the range among your family and friends when you're shooting, you got to go check out their builder sets. And even if you miss out on this one, the next one's going to be really cool, because every single month I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool too. You can learn more over at AeroPrecisionUSA.com. Did you know that we have a daily deals email from Gundealio? Go over to gundealio.com, GUNDEALIO.com. Sign up for the daily deals email. We send out some smoking deals, and we also actually have secret codes that we've worked out with probably about 20 different companies that have secret Gun Talk codes at checkout. So that's all listed on gundealio.com as well. If you like to save money on your guns and your gear, go check that out. Black Hills Ammo. We've been working with Black Hills Ammo for years. The great thing is I've been to their plant. Jeff and Christy Hoffman take this seriously. They want to build the best ammo they can to provide you and warfighters the best stuff available. Protect yourself and your family, but also for hunting and for competition, whatever that might be. So go check them out. They're also kind of getting into the dealer world a little bit more. So if you want to find a dealer near you, because ordering ammo online can be expensive with the shipping, they actually have a phone number. So I'm going to tell it to you. Call 605-348-5150. Say you heard about it on Gun Talk Podcast, and we'd appreciate that. Or you can go to black-hills.com. So Mark, you guys are always coming up with new stuff. Maybe just give people an update. Colt CZ. You guys are going steady now?
Yep. If you want to call it that. It's called the Colt CZ Group.
Okay.
We've been working well together.
Yeah.
We've been complementing each other well. It was a good boost for Colt to have this opportunity with them.
Yeah.
They took away a lot of the debt that we had, so that it allowed us to expand into more products.
Nice.
More innovation. I mean, whoever would have thought that we come out with a bolt-action rifle like we did a couple of years ago?
CBX, right?
CBX, yeah.
When I still feel like, I got to go out and shoot it in Arizona with you guys, and you brought it out, and it was fantastic. I still feel like maybe people are not aware of it, and it's like, and it's sometimes that happens. It's like when you're in it, it's like, yeah, but did you guys know Colt has a bolt gun? I mean, and it's really nice.
It is a nice gun. It's one of the most accurate guns I've ever shot.
Yeah.
It's out of the box. It will do sub MOA.
Yeah.
We were testing one of the precision 308s, and there's 8,600 rounds to it, and it's still shooting under an inch at 100 yards.
8,600 rounds. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert at this, but like, some people would say that'd shoot out a barrel.
That's what they say. It depends on how well the barrel's made
and
the materials that it's made out of. But I think one of the things is okay, Colt came out with a product that they never did before. A lot of people are maybe looking, let's wait and see how the people really like it.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been that long. The 6.5 Creedmoor now is coming out. So
yeah, you guys are expanding.
A super cartridge also. There's some other cartridges that are in the works. So
cool.
It's been good for us to be a little bit more versatile in what we're doing. The revolver line is just phenomenal.
Yeah, we should talk about that. That's your world. I mean, I know you do all of it, but you are definitely a revolver and 1911 guy.
Yep.
So kind of give us the updates on the revolver side of things.
Well, we have expanded the Python line with a lot of barrel lengths. Again, people have been asking for us, so now 2.5, 3-inch, 4.25, 5-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch. I mean, if you can't find the right flavor for what you want, you're not looking good enough. Super durable, great action right out of the box. Of course, the Anaconda came in the 44 Magnum. That's a huge success. It's a great hunting gun. We got 4.25 inch. We have the 6 inch. We have the 8 inch.
It's funny.
Just
It's funny because like the Anaconda, huge success. People are all excited about it, and it's kind of like, bringing out guns in 10 or bringing out something in just these big, heavy cartridges. I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's Americans. We are drawn to this, and you go, but man, and then they still go shoot 22s because those are fun to shoot. But they'll buy a 44 mag Anaconda all day long.
Yep. And if they had the Python, they wanted to buy the Anaconda to go with the Python. Same barrel lengths. And
right.
It's Americana, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
People love big bore shooting. I mean, it's a thing. Now I know there's even been some matches where they've used handgun hunting in field conditions, almost like the precision rifle series, but with handguns.
That's cool.
Going out to 400 yards, doing
That's
anything
a
like
cool
that.
idea.
Yeah. Our one shooter, Jay Lee Williams, last year did one out in Cameo out in Colorado.
Yep.
I mean, what a facility that is. But so it's something big. It's something pretty neat.
That is cool. Now you kind of rang the Anaconda out. You were telling me a story earlier about shooting it out at distance.
Oh yeah. The 6-inch that we were using for testing, and we were doing some video shoots. We were up at Hartford Gun Club, and at 100 yards on a rifle range, they have a steel target that's like a USPA target, and standing, you hit 6 out of 6 double action all day. Now, I prefer to shoot my revolvers double action.
Yeah.
I very rarely shoot single action because I roll through the trigger. It just feels more comfortable for me to roll through the trigger, but. Yeah, they're a really good gun. So I know I tested one with the scope mount on it with a Leupold handgun scope.
Yeah, and
I was shooting 3 inches at 50 yards with that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a neat gun.
Yeah, it is. There's also a ton of variety of ammo. When you think about how heavy you can go with a 44 Magnum to how light you can go with a 44 Special. It's an incredible wide range of things that you can shoot through it.
And the same can be said with the 357. There's some
True.
180 grain, 200 grain 357s, and you can run 38 specials. And that's the beauty of our Pythons and the Anacondas with the adjustable sights. You can readjust the sights to what you're shooting and just zero it right in for what you're using it for.
And people might not realize that they perhaps ought to re-sight in, because they're going, it's iron sights for iron sights, but not necessarily true, right?
No, not necessarily true at all. Everybody looks at sights as slightly different to begin with. If I gave you a gun that was dead on for me, you might look at it might not hit the same point of view.
Really?
But ammo, bullet weights and ammo make a huge difference in where they impact on a target.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just like, well, it's 44 mag. Who cares?
Correct. It's the bullet weight and the velocity, and they will print at different heights. And I even see a little windage difference on them. And you'll find a certain round in your gun that your gun likes.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the one.
Yeah, certain guns, you try out several different ammos, and it could be all 44 mag, but it likes the 180 grain, or it likes the 200 grain, or whatever.
Or just the brand.
Or the brand, yeah. And then if you find it, here's a pro tip too. Go buy a lot of that lot, because it may change in a few years. It may be a little different.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Grandma didn't make that recipe the same way. She didn't follow a recipe.
Didn't follow the recipe. Well, things change. Manufacturing change. Even just...
now they have dried oregano. I don't know.
Even the materials that the bullet head's made of changes slightly.
Yeah.
And that the way it grips in the rifling can change the way it groups.
So there's this pistol, Mark, that I don't know if you've heard about it, but it just seems to really be catching on. It's called the 1911. And it won't die. Like, this thing is just like ridiculous. So still new guns in the 1911 platform coming out all over the place.
A lot of them coming in from overseas. A lot of manufacturers, just tells you the timeless design of a 1911. Yeah. Some people say they want to improve it, modernize the look and everything. Give me the classic 1911 lines, and that's what I want. the 1911 is like the AR-15. It's the Lego kit for men.
Right.
I can change a 1911 to fit anybody so much by different trigger lengths, grip safeties, even thickness of grips and everything. There's so much available for it. But when you just come down to it, a product that was designed that many years ago that still has the following it does today.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. If you look at a lot of the things in your house, there's nowhere near what they were 100 years ago. But the 1911, yeah, we've enhanced it with better grip safeties, better thumb safeties. But that classic design that John Browning came up with, which a lot of other guns are all based on his designs, it's pretty remarkable.
Now, in competition, are you shooting 9s or 38 Supers, 45s? What are you shooting these days?
It depends on what division I'm shooting in, but I prefer to shoot a 45.
Okay.
I really like the way a 45 feels in my hand and the recoil because it's more of a push than a snap is the best way for me to describe it. I do play with the 9mm in USPSA, but I run a heavier bullet. I run a 147 bullet that I'm trying to get that same push instead of snap.
I've noticed that lately. We were doing some testing on some various guns, and we had, like 12 different loads of, this was a 9, 12 different loads of 9 for the same gun. And I mean, we went from 100 grains to 147s. Actually, no, we even had some frangible that was like 65 grain. So wide range of stuff. And on that particular gun, at least, the 147s were the most comfortable to shoot because it's just, I think you're right. It has that push, push, not a whap, whap, whap kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. And that's the 45 to me is also a very forgiving round. And what I mean by that is you can have just about any flavor, any manufacturer's 45, 230 grain, and they all shoot well. It's almost like a 308 bolt action rifle. It's very forgiving in what ammo you put in. They all seem to shoot a good group. They'll shoot better with some than others, but it'll always shoot what you want it to do.
Also, it seems like 45s are a little bit more reliable as far as just functionality goes.
Yeah, because the gun was made to feed that length bullet. 9mm is a little shorter. That's why 38 Super seems to feed better in a 1911 because it's the same length as that 45 overall cartridge.
Yeah.
I load mine a little long to make it a little bit better. And magazine development over the years has been a lot better for the 9mm. There's some Checkmate makes a great one. Magar does. So that helps the reliability of it. But just the manufacturing today, the CNC machining, keeping everything so tight in tolerances, there's no more having to hand fit guns like they did in the past because the parts are so well made today.
How much do you think that, I look at a 45 ACP, a ball round, and it looks like a big scoop of ice cream, out there. And it's just the shape of that just seems like it would be friendly for feeding.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And then you have wad cutters. Sometimes semi-wad cutters can be, they have the sharp shoulders. Like a Heath bullet or something they can catch.
Even the hollow points. The hollow points I carry in my gun have a nice rounded shape in the front, even though it's a hollow point. You don't want that blunt. Mine, I polish mine, tune mine. Don't forget, 1911 is a controlled feed round.
Right.
So it has to come up under the extractor when it's going in. So that extractor has to be tuned right in order for it to feed really nice.
Yeah.
So fortunately,
I think that a lot of 1911s these days come from the factory ready to shoot.
Yep.
I think back in the, quote unquote old days, there was a lot of tuning that happened. With
you bought a gun, sent it to a gunsmith.
Right.
Now you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you don't have to, at least, right?
Don't forget, you talk to all the top gunsmiths and they still want to do all the work on a Colt that says COLT on it.
Oh, yeah.
The metal and the frame and the slides is just a better canvas for them to work with than a lot of the other manufacturers. But, and who would think that people are still using guns from World War II? They're gun souvenirs that their father had or, 1911, 1917 manufactured gun. It's totally amazing.
It is amazing.
And I'm not talking about Colt too. All the gun manufacturers, we have guns from years gone by that people are still using. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
impressive about the gun industry and what we've made over the years.
Yeah, well, it's one of the few consumer products I've said on this show. We've said it on radio. It's the few consumer products where you buy it and you fully expect for it to last generations.
Mm-hmm.
If you take care of it 100 years or more.
Yep.
I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't have that reasonable expectation on a product, which nowadays, I mean, gosh, that's not the case at all. I mean, your refrigerator, the guy will like, yeah, we expect it to break in 5 years. You just throw it away. And you're like, are you serious?
Right, because you can't maintain it though.
Yeah.
The new or a firearm, maintenance is a very important part of it, but you can still do maintenance on it. Yeah. My spring, I tell people, springs are a big thing on 1911s.
Mm-hmm.
My recoil spring on a 5-inch gun, a government model, I'm changing every 5,000 to 6,000 rounds because they do get whooped is the best way to describe it. They get compressed and they lose it a little bit. My main spring, my Sears spring fireprint, once a year, they get replaced.
Okay.
And it's, like maintaining your car. It's mechanical. If you maintain your car, you'll get 200, 300,000 miles out of it. If you don't take care of it, it's not going to last that long. And it's the same thing with the firearms. So once you start getting springs weakened, that's when you start hurting the gun. They can beat themselves up because they're pounding against each other.
Well, and then the other part is the more you shoot it, the better it gets with guns like that. It just smooths out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just perfect.
And I tell you, I can build 3 guns that I think are identical, and they're going to be one of those 3. That's the one that just seems to shoot better in my hand than the other 2 all the time. Yeah. I don't know why, as well as you try to make them little things, but yeah.
Man, we appreciate you coming down. We always have fun.
I appreciate being here. Good
to catch up. You guys go check them out. Where should they go to find out more about what you guys are up to, Mark? Go to Colt website?
Colt website, yep.
Okay.
Yep, for all the products are on there, a lot of things. We do have a Facebook page, Instagram, so there's a lot of things going on at Colt. So our next show that anybody's going to see us at would be the NRA show this year. Come by the booth, see what we have. Booth.
Go harass Mark.
Yep.
All right, guys, that's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation. To see all of Gun Talk's content, go to guntalk.com, guntalktv.com, or sign up for the Gun Talk newsletter.